up? What's going on? Welcome to Relationship Cheat Code. This is the place where we give you the game on all things relationships and we take you to the next level so you do not stay stuck. I am Iana Ma'at and I am flying solo today. I am the feminine side of the dynamic duo of myself and my husband and what we do together in running Black Love and Marriage and the Relationship Cheat Code, helping couples, helping individuals do their personal work, and relationship work is what we are called to do. And so today, you got me, and I am happy to be here. I hope you are ready for what I have to drop today, for what I have to say. I had to give myself a little something to drink on that. I sat for a second and I thought about what I wanted to share. I already knew what I wanted to share, and this is coming up in my spirit a lot lately. This message is coming up for me personally. It's coming up for me as an insight with the couples and the women that I work with. And you're going to get it today too. You're going to get it today. There are two insights that I got, and I want to share them with you recently. And the first one, let me look at my notes here so I say it just the way I got it. And that is this: the initial awareness you get dulls and dissipates over time when you don't act on it. Oh, let me say that again. The initial awareness you get dulls and dissipates over time when you don't act on it. The second insight that I got, this is what we're going to get into today, is do not abandon the assignment you've been given. Do not abandon the assignment you've been given. And so the assignment can be showing up in so many ways. It can be any number of things. But in so many ways, the work that I do to help people, to help women, to help couples, is helping them to get unstuck from places of feeling uncertain, not knowing where they are, why they're in the place they're in, why am I experiencing the same thing over and over again. They're feeling disconnected, oftentimes in their marriage or relationship, but also in life, with purpose, with feeling like I'm just going from day to day and I'm just making it. I heard somebody say the other day, I'm just pushing through from day to day because, soon enough, I'll see Jesus. What? What? And some of y'all like, Iana, why you saying that? You don't understand? But I had to pause her and ask her to tell me what she meant by that. I'm understanding what she means. I'll get to heaven in the by and by, right? And it'll all be better. But there is a certain level, while culturally, spiritually, religiously, that's not a new thing that I haven't heard. But she was saying that in response to some of the difficulty that she's been experiencing in her marriage. And so there's some escapism there, let me just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and I'm, eventually I'll get to heaven and I'll just be away from all of this. I ain't got to deal with all of this. I want you to know, this is my personal belief in knowing that God wants you to be happy now. God wants you to be blissful now. God wants you to have romance now. God wants you to be in a place where you are with the one that he has called to you, and that you are aligned with the best of everything that he wants for your life. But you got to show up. You got to show up. You've got to participate. You cannot be passive. And you certainly can't be just doing your time down here on earth, just waiting to get to heaven. No. That's not the solution. That's not the solution. So let me put my notes back up. There are a lot of ways that we abandon the assignment. There are a lot of ways that we abandon the assignment. There are a lot of ways that we get an initial insight and it starts to dull, and we hear it again later on and be like, oh, that's good. like it's the first time, because we did not embrace it, we did not unpack it, and we certainly didn't do anything with it. And one of the ways that this happens, it happens in our marriages. It happens in our relationships, ignoring or procrastinating around a certain issue. Oh my goodness. Whose street am I coming down today? Not having a conversation, abandoning things and not committing to repair an area in your relationship that you know needs repairing. It is sitting in your relationship. It is hanging out in the atmosphere in your home, and you are not willing to look at it. You just keep walking around it. Your partner walking around it. Matter of fact, y'all got a good old dance. Y'all just act like it ain't there. That's abandoning the assignment. That's abandoning the initial insight you got. Because in some place, some way, some shape, some form, we generally have some awareness about disconnect, about funkiness, about not feeling good or well in a certain area. We feel it and then we repress it. We feel it and then we ignore it. We feel it and then we dismiss it. And so this whole piece, y'all, is really important in our marriages and in our relationships. Stop neglecting the nudges in your spirit to do your work. Stop neglecting the nudges. I know we need to be closer. We need more emotional intimacy. We haven't had sex in so long. We need more physical intimacy. And so I might paint around the edges and do a little something. I go Google something online, or I might, go find something that Aisha and Yana have put out about this and look at it a little bit and, have that area of my brain tickled a bit, but I'm not really going to do anything with it. This doesn't just apply to, not just to relationships. I just want to be clear for whoever this is hitting today, wherever it's hitting you, however it's hitting you, it's supposed to hit you. I'm clear about that. But this also, y'all, applies to our life in general. There are conversations that God is calling you to have. Be it husband, be it your boss, be it your best friend or your mama. You need to have that conversation. And you are dismissing it, ignoring, procrastinating. You haven't committed to it. There's an endeavor you're supposed to be taking. There is some creativity that needs to get out of you. There's a business you're supposed to be starting. There's something you're supposed to be doing. And you may not even have to fully conceptualize. It might just be a stir in your spirit. And you're supposed to be exploring that, but you're dismissing it. You're procrastinating on that. You're minimizing it, and you're denying it. There is inner work needed for you to move forward in life always, be it in your personal life and your personal awareness and your personal relationship with God, be it in your marriage, in your family, in your household, be it in purpose, call, career, how you move in the world. The question is, are you going to do it? That's the question. That's always the question. Is you going to do it? Are you going to show up? I'm not telling y'all anything, and I just want to say this. That I don't know from personal experience. Time and time again, I have found myself, sisters who have worked with me, particularly in my community, have heard me say, man, I go back and I read my journals from years ago and read the one from a few years ago and then read one from last month and, and then read one from last week. Like, dang, you're writing about the same thing. You ain't alone. I just want you to know, if any of this is coming down your street, I'm writing about the same thing, having the same insight, the same awareness, but I am abandoning the assignment that I have been given. Oh my goodness. I am dismissing, denying, minimizing, putting to the side, procrastinating, overcomplicating, and ducking the work. Oh Lord. So I just want you to know, I know what this is. And so I speak to you, and I also speak to myself at the same time. How about that? There is a 3-step process. Simplify, y'all. Simplify. We're going to simplify this process. There is a 3-step process I want to share with you today. And I think that this is going to be, if you bout it, this is going to be a moment for you. If you bout it. If you don't know what about it means, I can't tell you no more. I can't tell you nothing other than that. But if you're serious, this is going to be something that's going to be good for you. So the first thing, y'all, is that when you get an insight, first of all, it is natural and normal that when you initially get something, an insight, if you do not do anything with it, right, that it will dull and dissipate over time. That is natural and normal. Not only will it dull and dissipate over time, almost to the degree that it becomes a brand new awareness when you get it again, but it will happen again. It will happen again and again and again. That's how spirit works. That's how God works. God will continue to whisper to you. Your intuition will continue to stir your stomach. Whatever we resist persists. It will stay with you. So it will come up over and over and over and over again. So just expect that. Just expect that and go on and address it. But the first thing you want to do when you get an insight is you want to capture the insight. All my note takers, write this down today. Capture the insight. Many of y'all are walking through the world. You're having these awarenesses. You're having these moments. You're quiet. You're looking out the window, thinking about it. You're in the car and you're like, you're in the shower and you get something and you are just in the habit of letting it go. You must capture the insight because it will not stay with you in the same way if you do not do that. Okay, so you need to document it immediately. I tell people all the time, get a little pad and put it next to your nightstand, especially for my dreamers. Everybody dreams for the most part, but we don't always all remember the dream. But if you get a little something, write it right down next to your nightstand. You're getting an insider awareness as you're looking up at the ceiling at night and something comes to you, because when we're still, we get more. Write that down. When we're still, we get more. Lean over and write that down on your notepad. Keep one in your car. Keep one at your desk at work. Keep one in the kitchen. Document it immediately when you get it. That's the first thing, because when we write, it helps us to clarify things. When we write, it helps us to unpack our emotions and our feelings around things. When we write, it helps us to get out of keeping it in a fog, and it helps us to make it plain. Y'all know what I'm talking about? So you have to write it, and you need to ask yourself, what am I being called to do? Sometimes we have all these thoughts and feelings and things that come up, and we're, sometimes we just, the insight is that I'm mad. That's the insight. I'm mad. I said I was okay, but I'm walking around here, and what's going on with me? I think I'm angry about this thing. Don't even matter what the thing is. That's not the point right now. I'm mad. Sometimes the insight is just that I have this feeling. And so we don't know what that's about fully, but we have a feeling. And so to document it and to ask yourself, what am I being called to do, takes you out of feeling and into action. It takes you out of a place of just over feeling. That ain't really a word, over feeling, but sometimes we can really get stuck in that, but we don't know what to do with it. And then when you get the answer to what am I being called to do, the next question is, what's at stake if I ignore this? What's at stake if I ignore this? So I'm going to give an example. For many people, I know this to be true. You're walking around in a sexless marriage. You're not having sex. Not only are you not having sex, now you haven't had sex for 6 months, 8 months, a year or more. I mean, this is a thing that is happening for sure for people. You all have a lovely marriage. You all have lovely children, and you work well together to do all the things, to run the household and to show up for your kids and, go out into the world and go to events together. You vacation together, bring family, you're friends. You're not like in a place where you just don't like each other. Y'all cool. But that's pretty much it. If you really be real with yourself, you're friends on your good days. But you are not lovers. And this has been the norm for so long. This has been the norm. I hope that didn't mess up something happened with my video. I hope it's all good. This has been the norm for so long for you. Months and months and months of no sex and no physical intimacy and no emotional intimacy in many ways. And for real, you know, you have an appetite and you want it, but some of that has been repressed and pushed down and moved to the side. That's what we here talking about today. So much so that you're not even really clear how you feel about it. You ain't thinking about it. It's just hanging out in your marriage, right? And so you're walking around, let's say, one day you get an insight. This happens for you. You're in the car or you're watching a movie and they're getting passionate, right? You're listening to perhaps myself or my husband talk about sexual intimacy. You maybe see him, I'm saying this from a woman's perspective. You see him walk out the shower with a little something dripping off of him, and you have these moments of insight and you need to capture it. You need to capture it. And the moment might be that you get mad, going back to the madness. You get angry, you just walk around, but you don't have enough internal emotional awareness or discipline to sit with it, to do something with that and to figure out what that's about. So you walking around having an attitude, and he thinks like, if we was gonna do something, it'd be hard to do it because she's always in a mood. She always got an attitude. You don't even know it's there. So the task for you is to ask yourself, what am I being called to do? What's at stake if I continue to ignore this, if I do not do this? You're being called perhaps to have a conversation with him for the 29th time. You're being called to go further than you've gone and get into therapy or coaching. Perhaps you're being called to be the initiator. And there's so many of us who are the initiator in any area of life, especially in our relationships and marriage. We feel some type of way about that. We do. And especially if it's sex and intimacy. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you're the one mainly initiating, I just want to validate, that's going to be difficult. But sometimes that's just what it is. And so maybe you got to be the one to do that. Maybe, and here's the real thing.
Hey, what's up, y'all? So we know you're enjoying the episode, but check this out, y'all. We're not just any old random couple that's coming on YouTube every week just giving relationship suggestions and stuff like that. We're way more than that, y'all. Mm-hmm. We're trained therapists and relationship coaches. Yeah. This right here is my beautiful, incredible, sensational wife, Yana.
And this right here is my dapper, debonair husband, Ayize. So y'all, we just want you to know that there is more. We don't want you to just be a spectator. We want you to get in here with us and join our community. We have all kind of folks who are doing their personal work, their relationship work. We have sister circles and men's lounges and trainings, and we address all kinds of things from infidelity to disconnection to communication issues and sex and intimacy issues. Look, the solution is at blandcore.com. Join us.
You should be asking yourself, what is it that God wants me to get out of this? What lesson am I supposed to be learning? What is it that I'm supposed to be expanding in terms of how I see this thing, in terms of my awareness? Where am I supposed to be stretching? What am I supposed to be getting? Stop skipping over that question. Stop pushing that one to the side, because you can do all the things and check all the boxes and be the initiator and all of that. But if energetically you do not show up, emotionally you do not show up in your insight and your inside with a real understanding of your personal lesson, you'll never be able to connect the dots. You'll never be able to connect the dots on the insights that you get. But the bottom line is that if you feel a nudge to address something, especially if it's recurring over and over again, you know, there's unmet needs, there's all kind of stuff hanging out in our marriages, then it is your responsibility to capture the insight, write it down, document it immediately, and identify why it matters. Now, when you identify why it matters, you actually have to break this thing down. You have to create a plan of action and you have to break it down. Too many of us get a whole aha, get motivated and inspired, get up and go find our partner and say, I want us to sit down. I want us to boom, boom, boom. This is what I'm thinking, and this is what we need to do, or, whatever. Best of spirits, best of intentions. They don't respond to you well. You blown, you done, you check out. They respond to you well, but they don't actually follow through, or that initial conversation isn't followed by any sustainable action that feels good to you. You blown, you check out. You're back to where you are. You've got to make sure you understand that every step counts. Every step counts. When we are trying to create change in ourselves and in everything that is attached to us, every step counts, even a small step. So taking action is what helps us to solidify the insight that we have gotten. But we have to be willing to track our own action. We have to be willing to give ourselves our own pat on the back for the insight that we get and for the action that we take. If everything that we are looking for to confirm that we are moving forward is dependent on somebody else's response, how they are moving, how they are flowing, what they are doing, we will always hang out on the struggle bus. So break the insight that you get into manageable actions. Create places in your actions where you are able to be, You're able to identify a success regardless of what your partner does or does not do. Oh, I hit that. I did it. I did the thing. I showed up emotionally in the way I needed to. I didn't decompensate. I didn't fall to pieces and become a whole hot mess. I went and prayed a bit and did a little bit of centering myself, and I'm all right. Like, where's the success for you outside of, I want this thing to be solved? I want this to be over. No, what you need to want is what God wants for you, which is to be in process, is to be engaged, to be willing to be stretched, and to trust Him as you move forward. So set a timeline to hold yourself accountable so that you're not checking out and tapping out. You've got to be in prayer. You've got to have places of reflection or conversations with a trusted person or community like our community, Bland Core. You've got to have that piece in place, because if you're just relying on yourself, everything you're doing can be undone by one funky ass moment. It really can. It can be undone by one funky ass moment, because you don't always have everything that you need at the moment that you need it, even though everything you need is within. But if everything we need is within, there is something inside of us that discerns when we need to be connected to a person, to people, to spaces that will support us in our growth. And many of us dibble and dabble. We put our toes in and we come on out. Then we get frustrated, and then we start the cycle all over again. If you're having difficulty around communication, initiate a plan. Break it down into steps. Initiate a plan to have a specific conversation with your partner. Just a little sidebar tip for y'all. Go on and ask for your partner's permission to have the conversation. That can be step number one. Can we do this? Not, we need to talk. That ain't how that starts. It don't start well and it don't end well when we go that route, okay? Ask for permission. And when I say permission, I'm talking about, what am I talking about? Because some of y'all hear the word permission and be like, I'm a whole grown woman. I'm a whole grown man. I ain't ask my wife for no permission. But it's about the spirit in which you come. I want to make sure that I'm coming with the right spirit. So you may not use the word permission, but I just want to tell you that this is something that I think is important. I want to see when it would work for you, right? I am modeling for you what it is that I want to flow in and out, or in between us in our relationship, which is consideration. Yeah. And deference. And that should flow back and forth. And so that's what I mean when I say that ask, start there for permission, or for when this will be good for us to talk about, right? It's about committing to one intentional action at a time. One intentional action at a time, all right? And you cannot skip the important parts. You can't be trying to get to the conversation, but say, I'm not gonna plan the date. We're not gonna get to no date until we had this conversation and we get some resolve around this. It doesn't work like that. You can't say, I really need to tell him how I feel, and I am really upset about this situation. And I've been holding it, and I know that he's really been showing up lately. I see that, but I really need to focus on what I feel. You need to affirm your spouse. Affirm your spouse. You can't skip that part because you want to get to what you want to get to. And you'll never get that awareness and fully have that awareness if you don't spend quiet time. So the third step, again, the first step was capture the insight. The second step is creating a plan of action, really being able to pay attention to the small steps and not making all of those steps steps that your partner has to show up and do. Like, oh, we're doing all right because this is what happened and this is what happened. The moment they don't do a step, oh, it's over. We're not doing well. You know what I mean? This process of being in a relationship, this process of being alive is not just about getting what you want. In fact, it's not about getting what you want at all. It's about growth. It's about transformation. It's about seeking what Spirit wants for you and getting in alignment with that. And that means that you have to have some sense of your own progress outside of just what's in front of you at any given time. That's called faith. In case you didn't know, that's called faith. Lastly, the third thing I want you to do is stay accountable to your assignment. Stay accountable to the assignment. Some of you all have been on the same assignment for a long time because you have not been accountable. You have not shifted to the next lesson because you have not been accountable to the process of change. And you've got to identify somebody, someplace, something to keep you accountable. It is not just about you and your own accountability. It doesn't work like that. You got to be able to have, for example, in our community, people who you can share stuff with, who are like-minded, who will say, because they learning the same thing, let me tell you what I think you did right. Like, girl, this was good. But sis, you sliding back to the same situation, you doing the same stuff. That's not the answer. I don't think that was helpful to your situation when you did that, right? You got to have somebody, and you got to revisit your progress on a regular basis. How many of you, as you're listening, how many of you have a regular process to track your progress? I'm curious. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever it is, you got to have a regular process in place. Otherwise, you look up, you be like, man, I've talked to many folks, and I have, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to share this. I think it's fine, but I have a friend, and she's called to do something else. She's being called to something else. She captures the insight, right? She knows what she needs to do, and a part of what she needs to do is get a new job. She needs to get out of the job she's in and get into a different place and space. She's been doing that for 3 years. Matter of fact, it's longer than that, but really focused for 3 years. She hasn't done it yet because she doesn't track her progress, because work starts to get busy and life starts to get busy and kids start to take over and things start to happen. And before you know it, you look up and you be like, damn, it's a whole new year. Who know what I'm talking about? Y'all got to drop it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. You got to track your progress. And as you track your progress, don't be afraid. Sometimes we're not tracking because we don't want to see the truth, that we're not really moving in the way that we need to. But don't be afraid of facing the truth. Don't be afraid of getting the full insights of where you are. Just be willing to ask yourself, what's holding me back? What's holding me back? What's holding me back? What's holding me back? You've got to be willing to do that. Otherwise, you will stay stuck. And I say this a lot. This is probably something you have heard before, but it's not something to just say. It is something to really do. You have to celebrate your small wins. You got to celebrate, honey. Celebrate them wins. When you do something that has been difficult to do, or it ain't been difficult, you just been resistant. You just haven't done it. Be it a conversation with your partner, be it, being sweet and soft and nurturing when you know you've been hard and funky and stale. Or be it, having a conversation at work, or pushing forward and beginning to look at what the next step is for you to take with regards to starting that business, making a reconnection back in with a family member who you've been disconnected from for a long time, right? Lean on your faith. Lean on community so that you can stay grounded during the process. You have to pray. You've got to reflect. You've got to get still. And you have to remember, going back to where I started, that whatever ahas you get, they will dull and dissipate if you do not do anything with it. You must do something with it. Write it down, capture it, document it, pray on it, make a vision board around it. Keep active with it. Surround yourself with support. For all of my folks who are like, I'm not the one to be out here like sharing all my business, then it is your job to find your community. It is your job to find your coach. It is your job to find your counselor. It is your job to find your small, safe space. But to not have one is to willingly stay stuck. To stay internal, isolated, and disconnected slows up your progress and in many ways stunts it. And the last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to be done, is that you know, it's so many of us, we say this, but we don't really believe it. We have to embrace imperfection. We got to stop wanting everything to line up the way that we need it to line up. When we lead with what God would have us to do, when we seek God's voice, when we pay attention to our intuition, when we're doing those things, we are less, We're less dependent on things looking a certain way and feeling a certain way, because we already know what God said and we already know what our intuition and our gut is telling us. So we're leaning towards that. We're not focused on perfection. You got to be willing to embrace imperfection. That you will be on it some days, you'll be off other days. You can start over again. But you want to make this way of being, this moving forward, this getting the ahas and the awarenesses and the insights and working them through. You want that to be your regular way of living your life. But if you do not act on it, you will in effect be abandoning your assignment. You'll be abandoning many times what God has asked you to do. And just remember that you've been given all of your assignments. Assignments, again, are conversations that you need to have with your partner. Assignments are calls to self to get still and be quiet. Assignments are, you need to go apologize. Assignments are, you've been sitting at this job for this amount of time and you need to shift from this and you need to explore what God wants you to do. Assignments are every time you're in a certain atmosphere, you get a little twinge or tinge in your stomach because you're supposed to be doing that over there, but you're still doing this over here. And you need to explore that. You were given your assignment for a reason. There are levels to the assignment. There are stages to the assignment. Don't let fear, don't let procrastination, apathy, doubt, keep you from moving forward. Take this 3-step process and get into it because there is grace for the journey. There is grace for your journey. You just need to take the next step. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. This was life-giving, giving life for me this morning that I'm recording it. And I really want to hear your comments in the chat. I want to invite you to check out the notes, the description below this episode, and reach out if you need to take the next step. You can certainly be in consultation with myself and my husband around work that we do with couples and individuals. You can certainly schedule a clarity call with myself. And that link will be there as well because I have things that I am doing with women, and I'm getting ready to launch an amazing, exciting program coming up in 2025. Matter of fact, I'll be talking about it before then. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about what God is doing in me in this latter part of 2024, in you, if you are aligned with this message and all that's to come in 2025. But at the end of the day, y'all, My. You gotta move. You gotta move. You gotta move. So, this has been another episode of the Relationship Cheat Code. I am so grateful that you hung out with me today. Be peaceful, be easy, be accountable, and keep moving.